Horror Story. Title: The College Dark Secret. Main story: Nathan Harris and Tanya Wolfe had been friends since their first semester at Miami College. They had been studying late one night in the library when Nathan discovered an old book, bound in leather and dusted with age. Nathan flipped through the pages and found a map of the campus, with a location marked Secret Place. The two friends were curious and decided to investigate the location. They snuck out of the library, through the campus, and found themselves in front of an old, crumbling building. The entrance was covered in vines and overgrown shrubs, but Nathan and Tanya pushed through and made their way inside. The interior was dark, with only a few rays of moonlight filtering in through the dusty windows. Nathan and Tanya stumbled around, their footsteps echoing off the walls. Suddenly, they heard a creaking sound and turned to see an old staircase leading up to the next floor. They cautiously climbed the stairs, each step groaning under their weight. As they reached the top, they saw an old door, covered in cobwebs and rusted hinges. Nathan pushed the door open, revealing a large, circular room with candles lit around the edges. In the center of the room stood a large, ornate altar with strange symbols etched into the surface. Nathan and Tanya felt a cold breeze blow past them, and suddenly the candles flickered out, plunging the room into darkness. They heard footsteps circling them, and then a low, guttural growling sound. Nathan and Tanya clung to each other, trembling with fear. Suddenly, they saw a pair of glowing eyes staring at them from the darkness. With a loud scream, Nathan and Tanya ran for the door. They were halfway down the stairs when Nathan tripped and fell, tumbling down the stairs and landing at the bottom with a sickening thud. Tanya heard a scraping sound coming closer, and she turned to see a figure emerging from the darkness. It was a tall, dark figure with glowing eyes and razor-sharp claws. Tanya screamed and ran for the door, but the figure caught her by the hair and dragged her back into the room. Nathan lay at the bottom of the stairs, dazed and confused. He heard Tanya's screams echoing through the halls, and he struggled to get to his feet. He stumbled up the stairs, his heart racing as he searched for Tanya. He found her lying on the altar, her eyes closed and her body covered in scratches. The figure stood over her, holding a large, silver dagger in its hand. Nathan screamed and lunged at the figure, but it vanished into thin air, leaving only the sound of its mocking laughter behind. Nathan helped Tanya to her feet, and they stumbled out of the room, into the cold night air. They looked back at the old building, and they saw the glowing eyes staring back at them from the darkness. They never spoke of the secret place again, and they never ventured back into that old building. But they both knew that something had been awakened that night, something dark and terrifying, and they both feared that they would never be safe again. After that fateful night, Nathan and Tanya tried to return to their normal lives at Miami College. However, they both felt like they were being watched and followed, even in broad daylight. They couldn't shake the feeling that the dark figure from the secret place was still out there, waiting for them. One day, while walking back to their dormitory, Tanya suddenly disappeared. Nathan searched frantically for her, but she was nowhere to be found. The college authorities were informed, but they couldn't find any trace of her. Nathan couldn't bear the thought of losing his friend, and he decided to go back to the secret place to see if he could find any clues about her disappearance. He gathered all the information he could find about the old building and its history. He discovered that the building was once used as a temple by a secret society of occultists, who had performed dark rituals and sacrifices in the name of a powerful demon. The society had been disbanded decades ago, but some of its members had continued to practice the dark arts in secret. Nathan knew that Tanya's disappearance was somehow connected to the secret place, and he decided to confront the dark figure once and for all. He armed himself with a silver dagger and made his way to the old building. The secret place was just as dark and ominous as he remembered. Nathan made his way up the stairs, his heart pounding with fear and anticipation. As he reached the top, he saw the figure waiting for him. It was the same tall, dark figure with glowing eyes and razor-sharp claws. Nathan charged at it, his dagger gleaming in the candlelight. The figure dodged his attacks effortlessly, taunting him with its mocking laughter. Suddenly, Nathan remembered the strange symbols etched into the altar. he realized that they were the key to defeating the demon. He started reciting the symbols, feeling their power flow through him. The figure screamed and thrashed as Nathan continued to recite the symbols. Finally, with a blinding flash of light, the figure vanished, leaving behind a small, glowing stone. Nathan picked up the stone and felt a surge of power run through him. He knew that he had banished the demon from the secret place, and he hoped that Tanya was safe. As he made his way out of the old building, Nathan saw Tanya standing outside, looking relieved and happy to see him. She hugged him tightly and told him that she had been trapped in a dark room, but she had managed to escape. Nathan knew that he had saved his friend from a fate worse than death, and he vowed never to speak of the secret place again. He threw the glowing stone into the sea, hoping that it would never be found again. But he knew that the memory of that night would haunt him forever, a constant reminder of the dangers that lurked in the shadows. Nathan and Tanya were never quite the same after their encounter at the secret place. They had both seen and experienced things that they couldn't explain, things that would stay with them for the rest of their lives. Despite their best efforts to move on, they couldn't shake the feeling that something was still out there, lurking in the darkness, waiting for its next victim. One day, several months after their encounter at the secret place, Nathan received a package in the mail. It was a small, unmarked box, and it contained a single item, the silver dagger that he had used to confront the dark figure. Nathan couldn't believe it. How had the dagger found its way back to him? Who had sent it, and why? As he examined the dagger, Nathan noticed something strange. There was a symbol etched into the hilt, one that he hadn't seen before. He recognized it as a symbol of the occult, and he knew that it was a warning. Someone, or something, was still watching him, still waiting for its chance to strike. Nathan and Tanya tried to forget about the secret place and the horrors they had witnessed there, but they knew that they could never truly escape the darkness that had taken hold of their lives. They went on with their studies, trying to find some sense of normalcy in the chaos of their experiences. But deep down, they both knew that they would never be able to forget what had happened, or the strange symbols and warnings that had followed them since that fateful night. Years later, when Nathan was a successful businessman and Tanya had become a renowned artist, they would sometimes talk about that night and wonder what had become of the secret place. But they knew that some things were better left buried in the past, and they never went back to that dark and ominous building again. The memory of their encounter with the demon at the secret place would haunt them for the rest of their lives, a constant reminder of the dangers that lurked in the shadows, waiting to claim their next victim. As time passed, Nathan and Tanya tried their best to move on from the horrors of the secret place. They both went on to achieve success in their respective careers and personal lives, but they could never forget the strange symbols, the demonic figure, and the feeling of being watched. Nathan had become a successful businessman, but he could never shake the feeling that something was still following him. He had hired the best security detail money could buy, but he knew that it was just a temporary fix. One night, as he was walking back to his hotel room after a business meeting, he felt the hairs on the back of his neck stand up. He turned around and saw a tall, shadowy figure watching him from a distance. It was the same figure he had seen at the secret place all those years ago, the one he thought he had banished forever. Nathan's heart raced as he realized that the demon had somehow found him again. He tried to run, but the demon was faster, its claws cutting through the air as it closed in on him. Nathan reached for the silver dagger that he always carried with him, but he realized with horror that it was gone. Just as the demon was about to strike, Nathan remembered the symbol etched into the dagger's hilt. He closed his eyes and focused all his energy on reciting the symbol, feeling its power flow through him. With a blinding flash of light, the demon vanished, leaving Nathan alone in the dark alleyway. He knew that he had narrowly escaped with his life, but he also knew that the demon would be back. He immediately called Tanya and told her what had happened. She listened intently, her heart pounding with fear and anticipation. She knew that the demon was still out there, waiting for its next victim. Together, Nathan and Tanya decided to return to the secret place, hoping to find a way to banish the demon once and for all. They armed themselves with silver weapons and prepared for the worst. As they entered the old building, they saw that it was just as dark and ominous as they remembered. They made their way up the stairs, their eyes scanning the darkness for any sign of movement. Suddenly, they heard a low growl coming from the darkness. They readied their weapons, knowing that the demon was waiting for them. With a fierce determination, they charged at the demon, their silver weapons gleaming in the candlelight. The demon laughed and taunted them, but they didn't falter. With one final blow, they banished the demon from the secret place forever. They knew that they had finally put an end to the darkness that had haunted them for so long. As they made their way out of the old building, Nathan and Tanya looked at each other, both of them knowing that they had faced their deepest fears and triumphed. They knew that they could never truly forget the horrors they had witnessed, but they also knew that they had each other, and that was enough to face whatever darkness the future might hold. As they stepped outside into the fresh air, they both took a deep breath and felt a sense of relief wash over them. They had finally put an end to the nightmare that had haunted them for so long. But as they walked away from the secret place, they couldn't shake the feeling that something was still following them. They turned around and saw a figure watching them from the shadows. It wasn't the demon they had just banished, but it was something just as terrifying. It was a group of cultists, dressed in black robes and carrying silver weapons. Nathan and Tanya realized that they had stumbled upon something even darker and more sinister than they could have ever imagined. They knew that they had to act fast if they wanted to survive. They ran as fast as they could, their hearts pounding with fear. They could hear the cultists behind them, their footsteps echoing through the empty streets. Nathan and Tanya knew that they couldn't outrun them forever, so they decided to make a stand. They turned around and faced their attackers, their silver weapons at the ready. The cultists attacked them with a ferocity that Nathan and Tanya had never seen before. They fought back with all their might, their silver weapons clashing against the cultists' own. The battle raged on for what felt like hours, but Nathan and Tanya refused to give up. They knew that they were fighting for their lives, and they were determined to come out on top. In the end, Nathan and Tanya emerged victorious. They had defeated the cultists and put an end to their dark rituals. As they stood there, catching their breath and looking around at the destruction they had wrought, they realized that they had come full circle. They had started out as two college students, stumbling upon a hidden secret place, and now they had become warriors fighting against the darkness. Nathan and Tanya knew that they could never forget the horrors they had witnessed, but they also knew that they had each other and the strength to face whatever darkness the future might hold. As Nathan and Tanya made their way back to their dorm room, they couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. They had just faced unspeakable horrors and had come out on the other side, but they knew that there was always the possibility that more darkness was waiting just around the corner. The end.